Fine. So let's start with today's class. What we discussed in the last class is the memory management, right? So we saw that memory management is automatic in Python, and now today we will start with the components of a Python program, and then we will go to the data types. Okay, so what all components we have in a Python program? So we will start with the literals. This is the smallest component of a Python program. Then we have, after literals, we have identifiers. We have variables, constants, then reserved words. Then we have expressions, statements, block or suite, and indentation, comments, and lastly we have escape sequence. Right, so all are the components of a Python program. Okay, so when I'm saying these all are the components of a Python program, so it means that whatever program you will be writing in Python, you will be taking the help of all these. Okay, so literals, identifiers, variables, constant, reservoirs, and all these things will be there in a normal Python program. Okay, few of them might be there, few of them might not be there. It depends on the kind of program you are writing. Okay, so next we are going to start with the literals. So let's start with the literals first. Now, what is a literal? So literal is basically any value in Python is called literal. Okay, now when I'm saying any value, so whatever data type basically you have, those all data types are a kind of value, right? So they are considered as a literal. Okay, now so let's say if I'll be writing a is equal to 10, so here 10 is literal. Okay, 10 is literal here, fine. So any value you are using, for example, let's say if I'm writing a is equal to 10.20, which is float value, again 10.20 is literal. Then we have c is equal to 10 plus 20j. This is also a literal. Let's say if I'm writing a string, this is also Python is a literal. Then if we are taking a non value, that is literal. F is equal to, let's say 0 B1010, this is the literal. G is equal to 0 O 7654, so this is the literal. And H is equal to, we have 0x F C98, this is a literal. Okay, so these all are the different types of literal. Even we have a Boolean literal also, for example true, this is a Boolean literal. Okay, so whatever value you are using here, these all values are literal. Okay, and there are different types of literal. For example, let's say if I'm talking about types of literals, so we have numerical literal. In the numerical literal, we have first of all we have integer, then we have float, then we have complex. Okay, these all are numerical literal. Next we have binary literals. Okay, then we have octal literals, and we have hexadecimal literals. Okay, so out of this, these all things are coming inside the numerical literals. They all are numerical literals. Okay, and in this we have, this is integer. Next we have float literal. Next we have complex literal. Okay. This is binary literal. Literal. Okay. So these all are the numerical literals we have. Okay. Okay. We have already covered these topics in weekdays or weekends. No, probably we might have covered these topics in evening class. Okay, those who might have come for evening class, these topics might have been covered, not in this weekdays morning class, because I can see this is class 02, right?
Yeah, it's not covered in morning class.
Yeah, it's not covered in the morning class. So, as I said, these all like this special class will be repetition. So those who have done that class, you may you may listen to that, and then probably after today, I think from tomorrow we'll start with the new topic. Okay, today's will be the repetition only. Okay, so these all are the numerical literals we have. Okay, and we are going to discuss about this binary, octal, and hexadecimal representation. These all are the representation of an integer value. You can represent any integer value in this binary, octal, and hexadecimal. Probably today we will start with the data types, and then we will start with the int, float, complex, and then we will see that how the integer are defined and what all functions we have to convert a decimal value to binary, octal, or hexadecimal value. Okay, so but as of now we are discussing about the letters. So in the letters we have numerical letter, and in numerical letters we have int, float, complex, binary, octal, and hexadecimal values are considered to be numerical letters. Okay, next we have after this letters, yeah, so next one we have the string literal, or we can say Boolean literal. So Boolean literals, and in Boolean literals we have only two values. One we have true, and one we have false. Okay, so only these two values we have as Boolean literals. Next we have non-literal. So in non-literal we have this only one single value, none. And finally we have string literal. So string literal is basically any string, or you can say group of characters kept inside uh, single quotation, kept inside quotation. Okay, and when you say quotation, so it can be single quotation, or it can be double quotation, it can be triple quotation made up of single quotes. Okay, and it can be triple quotation made up of double quotes. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, so basically anything, any group of character which is kept inside the quotation, that is called the string literal. Okay, fine everyone. Yeah, so now let's start with this string literal. What is this string literal? Okay, so the question here is why we should have different quotations. Can't we do all these jobs with a single quotation or double quotation or triple quotation? Why we should have a different types of quotation? So see, a string can be defined in many ways. For example, we have a is equal to, we have this string Python, which is kept inside the single quotation. Then next we have B is equal to Python, which is again kept in the double quotation. Next we have again, so here we have triple quotation, and this one also, this is D, and this one is kept inside triple quotation but made up of double quotation. So in all these cases, what you can see here, that these all things are string, but we are using different types of quotation. Okay, they all are string, but one thing we need to discuss here, that why we are using single quotation, double quotation, or triple quotation. So see, they have their own use. Okay, first of all, remember one thing: single quotation, um, single and double quotation are used for defining a single line string. They are used for defining only a single line string. Okay, whereas multi-line string. Okay. For example, let's say we have a string s1 is equal to I'll talk about this. So this is going to be a multi-line string, right? If you see it here, so yeah. So if you see this here, this is a single line string. As of now, everything is kept into single line. But if you see, it is going beyond the limit, right? So we cannot see the content. We need to stall it on the right hand side. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to bring it to the next line. So to bring to the next line, we need to print. We need to write here enter, right? So we will be pressing enter, and then it will be coming to the next line. But when you are bringing it to the next line, you can see that it is not considered as a string. Okay. Now everything, like after the first line, the rest of the things are not considered as a string. So this is creating, like, it is not going to run this as a string. It is not, it won't be a string. So it is giving me the error. So when you use single quotation or double quotation, it is used to define only a single line string. If your string spans into multiple lines, you cannot go ahead and define that string with a single quotation or double quotation. Okay, so if you have such a scenario, then probably you can use triple quotation. So here I will be using triple quotation. Okay, so this is the triple quotation. Now if I'll be using this, so now it will work. So if you will print s1 now, so you see that it is giving you the output as the a single string or multi-line string. Okay, so one thing we have seen that triple quotation are used for defining the multi-line string, whereas single quotation and double quotation cannot be used to define a multi-line string. Is that clear, everyone? Any question? Yes, Ramesh?
But I have seen shows new line character in the output.
Backslash n character. Why?
Yeah.
Because let's say if you have a string, so when you write this when you write this in the triple quotation, so wherever you press the new line, wherever you press the enter, so
Hmm.
enter in the multi-line string is considered as a backslash n character. Okay, so wherever you will be having a line break, there this backslash n will appear. Okay, so in programming world, new line means, like, for us, what is a new line? So wherever you find a dot, that is the end of the line. For example, this is one line. Okay, for
Hmm.
user this is one line, but in programming, it is the new line is the backslash n character. Wherever it you will go to the new line means backslash n, or you will press enter, so that is the break of the line for programming. Okay, so that is considered as a new line. So this is coming as one line. Okay, this is coming as second line, and so on. So if you want to skip it, what you can do, so this, now see, this is coming as multi-line string, right? So after this, let's say, if you will just skip it like this, everything, just write a skip character here. Okay, and run this. So now you will find that now this backslash n is not coming. Okay, somewhere here it is coming, so probably that is for some different reason. We might have missed this backslash. Okay, so let me write it here. So also here, now you can see. So where it is, it scrambled, scrambled. Okay, now yes, correct.
Okay.
So scrambled it. Now it is removed. Clear. So you can use backslash to escape the new line. Okay. Now it is considered as a whole paragraph. Yes, Jude, do you have any question?
Yes. So you mentioned we cannot use a multi-line string within single quote or double
Mm-hmm.
quote.
Mm-hmm.
So see the text that we have. Is it a single line text that you copied and put it in double string
Mm-hmm.
or the double quote?
Mm-hmm.
So when we print that, it does print all of it.
Which one?
So the whole text that you copied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put them in double quotes and
Mm-hmm.
print it. It prints everything.
No, it will
It
print
automatically aligns that.
if it is a if it is a see multi-line string means to say what in Python. Multi-line string means if you have a new line or
Break
if
line.
you have a enter. Okay, correct.
Ah, okay.
That will be
Right.
considered as a new line. If you will write this all thing in a single line using double quotation or single quotation,
It
that
would
is
still print.
one
Okay.
line string. Okay.
Right.
And
Okay.
in that case,
Okay. Got it.
single quotation will not work. Yes, it will work in single quotation and double quotation also, but that is the special case. Now, let's say if I will print this, so it will commit like this. This whole thing is a single string. Okay, starting from here till here, it is a single string. But if I'll remove this backslash character, so all things will become. So in that case, this will become one line. Okay, if you remove this backslash, then the next line will become second line, then the next line will become third line, and so on. So try to understand that multi-line string means there is a line break. Okay, it cannot be into a single line. Okay, so there should be a backslash n character, there should be an enter. So that is considered as a single line. So letters before that particular line is a backslash n is considered as a single line. For example, let's say we have s2 is equal to this is Python class. This is one single line content, right? Now let me print S2. So if you are printing S2, this is coming into single line. Now, if you'll see there is no line break in this, right? But let's say if I put a line break here, now it will not be considered as a single string. It is giving me there. You cannot define, like I put a line break, right? A new line character. So now this is not considered as a single line character. Yes, if you want to escape it, this new line, so you can write here backslash. Now if you'll put a backslash, then it is fine. But still, if you'll print S2, this all things are coming into a single line only. Okay, but you what is your requirement that the way the string is written you want in the same way. So what you need to do, so remove this backslash and put this whole thing into triple quotation. Okay, now print s2. So see the output is coming as backslash and character. Okay, now just write it inside print statement, so you will see that it is coming as this, the way you have written. So with the line break it is coming. This is considered as a multi-line string. Okay, not the previous one.
Okay. Thank you.
Clear everyone?
And Abhishek, quick question. So this is Rajesh. So, assuming in the text, if it also has a double quote inside it, does it create a problem or
Yeah, I
like?
will come to that. I'll come to that.
Okay,
I'll come to
okay,
that.
okay.
So this was one use to write the multi-line string of the triple quotation. There is one more use. For example, let's say if you have a single quotation. For example, we have a string S3 is equal to, we have this string. Now if we will print this string, this is fine. Okay, but let's say if we have an apostrophe S, okay, which we want this to be printed as a character. I don't want this I don't want this to be considered as a end of the quotation. Okay, fine. So in Python, what it considers, so if you have started a string with a single quotation and wherever it will find the another single quotation, so it will consider it as the end of the string. So it is starting here and ending here, but this part is not defined. So it will give you the error in this case. What is your requirement? You don't want this backslash, sorry, this quotation to be considered as the end of this string. Rather, you want this to be considered as the character. So what you will do, one option you have, you can put a backslash. Okay, now putting your backslash, now if you will run this, you will get that this apostrophe S is considered as a character. It is escaping it. So putting a backslash before something means you want to escape the following character after the backslash. Okay, so you want to escape it, so it will be escape the quotation, and then it will consider as a character, and then it will print it. But problem here is, let's say if you have multiple cases like this, you cannot like managing the backslash will become a painful task. So we don't do that. Now what we can do here is, instead of writing this, we want this double quotation, single quotation to be as a character. So we will remove this. Now select all these things and keep all these things into the double quotation. Keeping all these things into the double quotation makes this this quotation so Python will consider this single quotation as the character of the string. So now if you will run this, you will see that this apostrophe is coming as the character. Okay, so this is one case. Now let's say there is another case. For example, let's say you have this, and you have the whole string in the double quotation, but you want this to be kept in the double quotation. So you want this to be printed again as a character. You don't want this to consider as the end of the character, end of the string, and this to be as a start of the string. You don't want that. You want this, both of these things to be printed. So again, you cannot do that. Okay, here. So let's say if you do S4, comment this, then this you will get the error. Okay, why Python starts from here, this string, and ends it here, then again this part is coming, so this part Python understand that it is not defined, so it gives you the error. Okay, so what you need to do, again you can just keep this whole string into the single quotation. Keeping this whole string into the single quotation, now it will take this double quotation as the character of the string, not as the quotation of the string. Okay, so now we have these cases where single quotation and double quotation are considered in a different way. Now let's see here. We have S5. We also have S5. And this whole thing are kept, let's say we have Python and Java class. Okay, we are going to keep it in single quotation. So now this string you can neither keep into single quotation nor into double quotation. You want this, both the quotation, double quotation and single quotation, both to be printed as a character. So you cannot keep this as the neither in the single quotation nor in the double quotation. So now you can keep this whole string into triple quotation made up of single quote or double quote. Now if you will print this, you will see that it is coming out like this. Okay, fine. Now so remove this one. You will get it like this. Clear, everyone?
I had one question.
Yeah.
Now you put the print method, but before you just were, providing the same variable
Hmm.
and it was printing the value. Will
Hmm.
that be okay, or it is also considering the one of the print
No,
command?
see, when you are writing this script, when you are developing the application, it is keep a habit of writing print statement. Okay, instead of simply, because see, this is a cell. So in the cell, if you write an expression, that will be evaluated. But in the program, when you write the program and when you write the expression, that will be evaluated, but you will not get the result. So if you want to get the result on the screen, use print value, print function.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other question, guys? Jude, do you have any question?
Nope. Nope.
Fine. So now we are done with this string letters, and the last use of the triple quotation is to write the documentation. For example, whenever we define a function or a method, so let's say if we are defining a function, def my underscore function. Okay, so while defining this function, whatever you're gonna write inside this function, if the first line is kept inside triple quotation, okay, it can be a single quotation or it can be double quotation, like triple quotation made up of single quotation or double quotation. Whatever you will write in this triple quotation in the first line, that will be considered as the documentation of the function. So I can write here, this is sample function. Okay, and you can access it. I may write the logic here, I will not write right now, but let's say if I want to see the documentation, basically what you write here, so what this function does. Okay, what this function does. Let's say if you want to write the whole definition in the beginning itself, which is a multi-line string, you can write first write the documentation, everything into the triple quotation, and then write the logic. Okay, so now if you want to access the documentation, basically documentation helps to get the details about any function. So you can write my underscore function dot double underscore doc double underscore dog double underscore doc double underscore is the attribute of any function which gives you the details about the function or documentation about the function. So let's say if you will call this, okay, and this is sample function. Okay, so this is going to give you the documentation of the function. Is that clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? Any question you guys have?
Yes, everything. I have a question here. Why do we define a function, or is it necessary for every program to define a function for every program? And how do we do so? Means I'm not very clear on this.
See, function, we have a separate class for the function. Okay, so function is nothing but the program you write. Okay, writing the program using function gives you the flexibility to use the code a number of times. Okay, fine. For example, let's say you have a repetitive task. You know that you have to do this task on a regular basis. So what do? Instead of writing that code and rewriting that code every time, let's say if you want to use that line of code, let's say you have 100 lines of code and you want to use it around 10 times. Okay, so writing that code 10 times again and again, or copying and pasting is not a good habit of programming. So what do? We keep that 100 lines of code in a function, and whenever we want that function to be executed, we just call that function. So that is the code reusability. Okay, function gives you the advantage of code reusability, or you can say it gives you the liberty of reusing the code a number of times. Okay, that's why we can define the function.
And
It's just a way of writing a code.
Okay, and what is the document here? Like you said, like we can call the document.
Document is the details of the function. For example, if you see this here, any of my sheet which I provide there, you see that I provide a lot of comments. These all are the comments. Okay. So in the document, for example, let's say if you want to see the definition of the str, so you have help function. In the help function, you can just go and write int. So it will give you this.
Okay.
Now, when you are writing this, so you can read this. You can read about the int, how it is defined, what values it takes, what all functions are there. This is called the documentation. Okay. So the developer writes the documentation. Documentation helps the other programmer or the other developer to understand your code properly.
Okay, so for everything, we have to also create a documentation also. Whenever someone is creating a program, they create a documentation.
Yeah, correct. So you need to write the documentation. Either you can write it in the same code like this, like for function, if you want to write the documentation, then you should write this. Otherwise, if you want to write the documentation file separately, then probably you can do that one also.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other question, guys? Yes, Ramesh.
What this underscore denotes, it's especially meant for functions only, or somewhere else also to be used?
No. So if you will see, let's say there is a function dir, and if you write int, it will give you a lot of functions which are starting and ending with double underscore. Okay, so wherever you find in Python, if you find any function or any name, basically any name, not function, any name starting and ending with double underscore, you can understand from that that is a special function used for internal purpose. Okay, So see, if you will write this double underscore doc double underscore with respect to any function, and if documentation is written, it will always provide you the documentation. So it
So
is written to provide you the documentation.
so it's inbuilt functions made up for
You can say these
Python.
all are the inbuilt functions, attributes, and methods.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys?
Hi Abhishek, Priya this side.
Yes.
Abhishek, so under underscore doc, how it identifies that this is sample function is document, or like is it it is something like which we want to execute. So how does it differentiate between that?
See, if you will see here, if I will see, right, let's remove this. Okay, what I'm going to do. Okay, now what is dir? See, I have written dir on integer. Okay, integer
Yeah,
is a built-in class. My function is a user-defined function, right? I have defined this
correct.
function. Okay, but see, in Python, lots of things are coming by default. Python is such a good language, or you can say use
Rich
yes,
in definition.
built-in functions or rich in built-in attributes, so that if you define a function, these all things gets defined for this function automatically, and these all things will be defined for every function. If I'll create another function, these all things will be again defined for that function also. Okay,
Okay.
now if you will find, like, let's say if I'll write my function dot annotation, so it will give me some details. If I'll call this attribute or this class attribute or closure or anything, so
Okay.
these all things are related with some built-in functionality. Similarly, this doc is also related to it. Is the function of doc is to just give you the documentation about that function. Let's say, what if you don't write this doc? No problem, it will not give you anything. Let's say if I'll write here print dir, sorry, my underscore function dot double underscore doc double underscore. Nothing, it is going to return me none because you have not written anything, right? That is not
Okay.
a problem. You have not written anything, but yes, if you will write, so it will take the documentation of the function.
So anything in strings is considered as doc.
Not string, anything in the function in the first line and in the triple quotation is considered as the documentation.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, understood.
So let's say if I will write here 10 plus 2. 10 plus 2. This will be considered as a documentation of this.
Okay.
You can
Got
write it.
it.
Okay. Yes, Amit, please go ahead.
Can it be multi-line also?
Yes, you can span it into multiple lines. So that's what I said. Let's say if you will take this help int, right? So this whole definition, let's say I can copy all these things. I will copy all these things and I will keep it here. Okay, fine. These all things are in the triple quotation of this my underscore function. Now let's see the documentation of my underscore function. Now I'm printing it, I'm getting all this documentation. Clear? So whatever you will write in the first line in the triple quotation of the function, that is that considered as a documentation of that function. Clear?
Yes, we should keep compulsory triple quotation, or we can write in double quotation or single quotation.
No, compulsory it is triple quotation. You cannot write in double quotation or single quotation. As I said, triple quotation is used for documentation.
Okay, thank you.
Now, when you are saying triple quotation, it can be made up of single quote or double quote, anything. Doesn't matter. Yes, Harjo?
Yeah, Abhishek. So every time we have to check for any attribute or a function related to any integer or any variable we declare, we need to go to dir directory.
See, if you want to get the list of all the functions, let's say you are working on string, okay? And if you want the functions related to this string, you just want the names, okay? So you can go for dir of str, okay? It will give you the list of the names, okay? But if you want the definition, okay, so you can go ahead and write help of str, okay? It will give you the definition of the str.
And these documentation will also contain how to declare variables and what all it will return, everything, right?
Declaring a variable, it doesn't, you don't have any.
No, I mean not declaring, defining, like for add, it has like 3 arguments, right?
Yes,
Currently, if you
yes,
can
yes,
see.
correct. Yeah. So here it is saying you everything, right?
So in order to use add, we basically need 3. So add is a function which we need to use in another function or in a class,
Mhm.
and we use 3 arguments, and then the return type will be self plus value.
But the argument, this backslash is not a mandatory argument. This is optional. This says that you can, specify a few more argument here. But yes, these 2 arguments are the required. Self and value. Self stands for the number. Let's say if you write 10 plus 20, here 10 becomes the self and value becomes the 20. So first argument is self and second argument is 20.
Okay. Okay. So we will be going through these things also.
Why we will be going through this thing? These all are already written. If we'll go through this,
Okay.
it will
So
take 2 years to
no,
come.
I mean in order to. Okay.
No,
Fine.
yeah, see, we will go to the classes and objects. What I think that is mandatory, but not in this class. That is the separate class we will be conducting for that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, future classes, we might go through these
See,
things also.
like, yes, if you are interested, you guys can contact Learnbay, and then we will be scheduling the extra classes for, the advanced topics like class, objects, multi-threading, and other topics, whatever you require.
Okay. So these all are, okay, these we need to learn basically. Yeah. And secondly, so then in Jupyter's case, so Jupyter's ID, it doesn't have any feature which gives us, so once we declare something, auto completion is not there, right? I guess.
Auto completion is not there, but yes, you can take the help of the built-in documentation provided by the Jupyter. For example, let's say if I have A is equal to, okay, now I will write A dot split, okay, split, and here after putting this bracket, if you will press Shift Tab, it will give you the kind of small documentation with related to the function. This comes with the Jupyter notebook. You can take the help from here, what all arguments you have, what all default argument you have, and what all values you can pass, and what is the documentation, what it returns, what is the type, signature, everything is provided. You can take the help and then probably you can proceed. Okay, so this help or this documentation is provided by the Jupyter.
Okay, Control Shift, right? You said.
Shift tab.
Shift tab. Okay, Shift tab. Yeah, fine. Thanks.
Anything else?
Yeah, Abhishek. So as you mentioned, if we need class and all those things, so those will not be covered as part of this course, or
No,
should it be
classes and
considered?
objects will not be covered. The reason is it is not required. If you want, I can give you the introductory class for 1 or 2 sessions. But going for details into the object-oriented programming may require at least 1 to 1.5 week of time. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that is not included in this levels because that is not required generally. Yes, if you want, we can provide. We keep on conducting the extra classes for that. So if you
So
want,
for
you can connect with Learnbay and they will ask you. They will.
fine. I'll get in touch with them. Thank you.
These are something like library. Yes, Pranay, these all are library of the respective object. Akash, I hope you understood, Akash and Silpi. I hope you understood what is DIR. Let me know if you want any clarification. Yeah, you can say it gives you the directory of all the functions available for a particular object. Okay, Akash? Okay. Fine. So now we are done with the string literals. Fine. We have seen that how single quotation, double quotation, triple quotation can be used to define a single line or multi-line string. So literal is basically done. Let me know if you have any question. Otherwise, I'm moving to the next topic. The next topic for me is Okay, so the next topic is identifier. Now, what is an identifier? So, identifier is a name given to a variable, then variable has constant, and then function, class, object, etc. So, any name you are using in a Python program, that is called an identifier, right? So for example, to store a value, you create a variable. To store a constant value, you need a constant name. To, like here we have defined a function, and if we want to call this function, we need to give a name to this function. If you will not give a name to the function, if you will not give a name to the function, then probably you will not be able to call this. Similarly, for creating a class, you need to give a name to the class, and to create an object, you need to give a name to the object, right? So basically, any Python program will have a lot of identifier. We use a lot of identifier throughout a program to name a variable or constant, or you can say the function, class, or object, anything, right? So we have an identifier, and how we can define the identifier. So there are basic few rules which we need to follow. Okay, but before defining that, before coming to those rules, let's see what all variables we have. So we have variables. Okay, now variable is an identifier. Let's say we have a is equal to is equal to 10. So here 10 is what? 10 is a literal, right? 10 is a literal, and a is what? A is a name. So a is a variable. I can say here the variable is an identifier, and a is a variable which is an identifier. Okay, now the next we have is constant. Okay, so let's say if I want to store a maximum value, I'll be storing it in the max underscore val, which is equal to 100. Okay, so this is a constant. So here I can say max underscore val is a constant. Okay, next we have, let's say we can define a function. For example, function. So we have def add, and here we can take a comma b and return a plus b. Okay, so here I can say add is another name to the function, correct? Fine. So this is also an identifier. Okay, next we have class and objects. So let's say if I want to define a class, so here we will be having class, and then okay, so this is my class. Now let's say if I'll write here, so what is my class name? My class. This is the class identifier. Okay, similarly we can have the object identifier. So what is object identifier? So if you create an object of the class, for example, obj is equal to my class, and we can pass, let's say 10, 20. So here object obj is a object, okay, which is an identifier. Clear, everyone? Fine. So these all are the different ways of defining an identifier, and any name which you are going to use in a Python program, that is called an identifier. What is the difference between variable? I'll be coming to that. Can you please elaborate on init method? That is the Init method is a method which is used, it is a constructor basically, you can say, not exactly a constructor, but we say it is a constructor. Okay, why? Because whenever we create an object, it is construct the attribute part of the object. Okay, whatever attributes you are going to define here, that all attributes will be created for that particular object, whatever object will be creating out of this class. So if you will create 10 objects out of this, all these 10 objects will be having this A and B attribute. Okay, fine. Now the self is the reference variable which we use to refer to the object for which we are creating this, for which we are calling the class, or we are creating the object. Okay, so self refers to the same object always. Okay, I'll be coming to that part later. Don't get into the details, otherwise again it will require 2 extra class to discuss all these things. Yes, Ramesh.
Is it self and this is the same or it's a different?
Yes, this in Java and self in Python are same.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Okay, so this is all the identifiers we have now. So when you are, see here, I have used a different kind of names, A, then max underscore val, here everything is in capital. If you'll see my class, then here I have used camel case notation. So can I use anything as my identifier? No, there is a set of rules which we need to follow to define an identifier. Set of rules to define identifier. Now, what all those rules we have? So, if you want to have a look at the rules, so first start with the allowed characters. So, what all allowed characters we have? We have capital A to capital Z, then we have A to small z, and then we have 0 to 9, and underscore is also allowed. These all are the allowed characters. Next, we have number 2, not allowed characters. Okay, so in the not allowed characters, we have special characters are not allowed. Special characters are not allowed. Okay, now the other rule says that number should not be identifier should not start with the number. Okay, for example, let's say if I have an identifier num is equal to 10, acceptable, num1 is equal to 10, it is acceptable, n1 is equal to 100, this is also acceptable. Okay, but you cannot have an identifier which is starting with the number 1 num is equal to 100, this is not acceptable. Fine. Now next what we have, so let's say not allowed character, for example, if you will have num $, this is not acceptable. Okay, fine everyone.
Yeah, Abhishek.
Yes.
In allowed characters, we have a capital A to Z, means we can give A is equal to 10, like that, right?
Yeah.
And coming to this number 0 to 9, how can we give like 0 is equal to something?
Num1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can see, you cannot start your identifier with the number first itself. It means you cannot have a number to to name it. Okay,
for that we are mentioning num1 is equal to 19,
yes,
something like that, right?
These all are the allowed character. Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Jude, do you have any question?
Yes. So when it comes to identifiers, you did mention, okay, variable A equals 10, that A is the identifier. Now, when we look at that, we know, okay, there's something that we have to identify, and we look at A and say, okay, identifier, or it might be 10. But my question is, what is the significance of this identifier for Python?
Okay. So, see, identifiers are used, for example, let's say if I want to call this function, tell me if I'll not have this name of the function, how can I call it? How I'll be able to identify that this function I have to call. So we have names, we all have names, right? We people have names. So if I want to call you, I will be calling you by your name. If you want to call me, you will be calling me by my name, right? So you can think all of us as an object, but all of these objects will look same, right? If we don't have name. So how you will call each other? For example, if you go to animals, right? If you take the example of animals, all animals looks to us same, right? We don't have the names for them. So all of them, they look for us, like, you know, they look the same. Whereas when you, get a pet, so you give a name, and then you give a name. Why? So that, you know, to identify it later, that this is different from others. Correct. So let's say if like, what is programming? Programming is nothing but handling the data, right? And how do you handle the data if you don't give a name to that? Let's say there are two data, 10 and 100. But if you want to process that data somewhere in your program, how you will call that data later? If you have saved it, and if you have not given any name to that. For example, take the example of this function. If you not give a name to this function, how you can call this function? Right? So this identifiers are used to give a name to the data or the object in the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other question, guys?
One quick thing again, sorry, Abhishek.
No.
Say in the previous class, you did mention that in the first example, that A equals 10. 10 is an object, right? But in this case, it's just a mere value that is given to A. Correct. But on the 20th line or the 19th line, you're calling out object equals obj, and that is an identifier in itself. What is the difference where I'm calling a value an object, and then object itself is obj is a keyword, and that's an identifier?
No. Okay, fine.
Does my question make sense? Or
Yeah.
confused? Okay.
Obviously. Let's discuss that. What I'll do, I'll give you an introduction of what is the object-oriented programming, OOP concept. Okay. Now, in OOP concept or object-oriented programming is completely based on classes and objects. Okay, class and object. Okay, these are the two things. If you understand this class and object, probably you will be able to understand, like, you know, the object-oriented programming. This is the, you can say this is the base of that. Now, what is a class? So class, you can think of it as a, a kind of, what do you say? Class is a blueprint. Okay, and object is the physical existence of the blueprint. Okay, for example, when I will ask you to define a, let's say, take an example of civil engineer. So what do the civil engineers do? Let's say they want to make a bridge, or they want to build a bridge, or let's say they want to design a bridge. So how do they do first? So they start with a blueprint, isn't it? They simply don't go and see the site and start building it. First, they create a blueprint, and that blueprint is on pen and paper, correct? And in that blueprint, what do they define? They define that how this structure will be made. Okay, and if they will be not having any blueprint, probably they might miss out something in that. Correct? Fine. So for doing any project, you are creating a blueprint. Now, once this blueprint is created, and if you want to make 10 bridges of the same type, you can do that anywhere, at any place, right? So what you are doing here, first you are creating a blueprint. That blueprint is just an idea in your mind, which you have drawn on the paper, and then you are creating the object, physical existence of that object or that blueprint into the real world. Correct? So class is a blueprint and object is the physical existence of the blueprint. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
The
now,
analogy makes sense, but probably some example would help.
No, I'm coming to that
digest
question.
that. Okay.
I'm coming to your question, but before that, I hope everyone understood what is class and object, right? Okay, fine. Okay, now let's come to the why we say that all the data in Python is an object. So what I said, class is a blueprint. So in Python, what we have done, see, if you will memorize one line, okay, and if you will follow this line throughout the Python programming, probably you will be the master of the programming in few months. And that line says that in Python, everything is an object. Okay, in Python, everything is an object. Now tell me, when I'm saying in Python, everything is an object, what can you interpret from here? Can I say that if everything is an object, it means for everything there is a class defined somewhere? Can I say that?
I think yes.
Correct. So when you are creating a is equal to 10, 10 is an object. I'm saying 10 is an object. It means for 10, what kind of object it is? It is integer object. And when you are saying integer object, it means somewhere integer class is defined. And where it is defined? It is defined internally. When you download Python, what is that Python? That is the definition of the Python only. Whatever objects you are using, for every objects classes are defined and their methods are defined. So now that is the reason whenever you print help of int or any object, you will see that class int. This is the definition of the int class. Clear, everyone?
So can we call Python also a hoop language?
Yes, it is a hoop language.
But it's not explicit. I mean, some part of it is hidden and the objects are like more visible.
Internally, if you'll talk about it, so internally it is implementing object-oriented programming only. And it is truly
Right.
object-oriented programming. Few of the object-oriented features are not available in Java, but you will find that almost all features of object-oriented programming are available in Python. Okay.
Okay, that
Fine.
clarifies, Abhishek.
That
Thank you.
is object-oriented programming. Internally, it uses object-oriented programming paradigm. But when it comes to Python, you have functional support here also, object-oriented programming support here also, scripting also you have, and different other paradigms, whatever you want to follow, you can do here. Okay.
Okay, great.
Any other question? Any question, guys? No question? Okay. So,
Abhishek, sorry. I mean, this just hit my head. Would there be a requirement where I have to write the class?
not as of now. Okay. And probably see, as a data scientist, if you are going as a junior data scientist, you may require to write the Python programming, but writing the classes and objects may not be required in the initial phase of your career. I'm not saying, I'm not ruling out the options that you may need to write. Okay, you may need to write, but I cannot say that, you know, as soon as you enter the industry, you will start writing the classes and objects. Yes, with the experience, at least you should be, see, this classes and objects is required just to understand the, you know, if some code is written, you should be able to understand it. And probably the whole Python concept is required to understand the code. You don't have to write the code first of all. Writing the classes and objects will not be required. Even you may not need to write the functions also, because there are built-in functions. Okay, if you are going to define your own class or own objects or own function, probably that will not be the efficient and that will not be the optimized one. So that is the reason we have the lots of built-in support in Python. So make sure that you learn those functions. As far as this classes is concerned, you may require at your later part of your career, or when you will apply as a, you know, senior data scientist, or for example when you apply as a you know, project manager, then in that case also you're not going to write, but you need to understand. You may need to explain the code to your peers or to your juniors. In that case, you cannot say that I have not learned object-oriented programming. Obviously, you should have the knowledge of the object-oriented programming by then.
And would it be fair to assume that whatever classes that I need for my data science work, those are all pre-built?
Yes.
In very rare cases that I might have to define a customized version of a class to,
correct.
you know, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, anything else, guys? Anyone? No? Okay. So now let's move to the, we were discussing the set of rules, what all set of rules we have here. So identifier cannot start with the number, we have discussed that. And next we have okay, yeah, reserve words. Do not okay, so do not use reserved words as your identifier. Okay, now what is a reserved word? First of all, we need to see. So let's see. So reserved words in Python, we have a few reserved words which should not be used as to define something or to write a name. Okay. Now let's say if we have we want to see the what all the reserved words we have in Python, so we can simply write import keyword and then we can write print keyword dot list. Okay, this is going to give me the list of all the reserved words available in Python. Okay, so this is the list of all the reserved words available in Python. Now this reserved words is defined in two parts. One is reserved literals and one is keyword. Okay, so let's see reserved words. It is defined in two parts. One is reserved literals and second one is keyword. Okay, now what is this reserved literals? The reserved words which are used as a literals means which are constant value. Okay, so false, none and true, these all are constant value and they are also Boolean value. You can see that Boolean literals we have seen and non-literal, right? So these all are the reserved literals. So I can say that out of these reserved words we have false, we have none and we have true, which are reserved literals. And in keywords, apart from these three things, everything is a keyword. Fine, everyone. Everything is keyword. Okay, so now we should not use them as our identifier. Okay, as I have discussed it earlier. So we should not use them as an identifier. Okay, now why we say this is reserved literals? So reserved literals, they can exist alone. Reserved literals can exist alone, but when it comes to keyword, keywords cannot exist alone. They are associated always with the functionality. So the reserved words which are associated with the functionalities, they are called keywords, and the reserved words which are not associated with any functionality, that is called reserved literals. Okay, so let's see that. We have first let's come to the reserved literals. So we can write print true. Okay, it can exist alone. Okay, writing anything, you may write true plus or true plus true minus false. If you write this, it will give you some result, it will execute it. So they are existing alone. Okay, they are being considered as the value. But when it comes to keywords, so they cannot exist as alone. So let's say if you will write print only and, this will give me the error. Why? Because and is associated with some functionality, and what functionality it is associated with? So it evaluates the and expression. So basically it checks, let's say you write 10 and 20. So here it will give you some result. It is going to give you 20. Okay. So this result, it is getting evaluated and is associated with some functionality. That's why we say it is a keyword not reserved literals. Okay. So now when it comes to defining an identifier, you cannot neither of the reserved words as an identifier. For example, you cannot write and is equal to 100. This will give you the error. Okay. It is not accepted. You cannot even write true is equal to 10. Okay, this will give you the error because these all are the reserved words, and reserved words should not be used as an identifier. I hope this is clear. Any question, anyone?
Yes. Does Python somehow prevent that? Like if
Yeah.
I can't remember all of these keywords, right? So
No, you cannot remember, but yes, you will. You know, it fits into your mind once you will start practicing the Python code. We don't
visually Python doesn't stop me from doing that.
No,
Unless I run that and find an error and then go back and check.
Correct. Yeah, as I said, so it is not going to stop you, but anything which is coming, let's say if you are writing something and if it is coming in this green bold, so that is somewhere you are making the mistake. So that is the color coding used to differentiate between an identifier. Let's say if I will write num here, so you can see num is coming in black. So any identifier which is a valid identifier, it will come. Let's say if I write 1, you can see here 1 is coming as green, right? So now you cannot write 1 here, but if you write 1, it is coming in black. Okay, so if you need to observe this, once you will start coding this and start observing it, you will come to know that what thing you should use, what thing you should not use.
Okay.
It will not stop you here, but with color coding, you can get an idea that what should I use.
Okay, thank you. I think you did answer my question previously.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anything else, guys? Any other question? Okay, so this is the rules, and the next one you have, you should not take too lengthy identifier. Okay, Python doesn't keep any restriction on how lengthy identifier you can take. You can take an identifier of any length, but you should avoid it. Okay. It is not recommended to take too lengthy identifier. The reason you can understand that if you will take too lengthy identifier, probably you may need to call it somewhere, and if you will miss a single letter or something, probably you may not get the expected result. Clear? So that is not.
It's more of a best practice than a rule.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, you can say these all are the rules. These all, if you will not follow any one of these, you may get the error. Okay, this is the recommendation. And next we have, so if you start any identifier with a single underscore, for example, ABC, that is considered as a private identifier. And private, what do you mean by private? Private means you cannot access it outside the module. Okay. Next, if your identifier is starting with double underscore, let's say double underscore ABC. Okay. So double underscore ABC makes the identifier strongly private, and you cannot access it outside the class in the same module. Okay. And next, what we have, let's say you have double underscore ABC double underscore. So an identifier starting and ending both with double underscore. For example, this is language defined special identifier. Now, what is this language defined special identifier? For example, you might have seen double underscore add double underscore, or double underscore name double underscore, or double underscore doc double underscore. These all are language defined special identifier. There is a huge list of language defined special identifier, and you should not use them as your normal identifier. Reason is, if you will use them as your normal identifier, probably as I said, they are used for a specific purpose internally. right? For example, when you call this addition operation 10 plus 20, internally it calls this add functions on this object, integer object. So if you will use double underscore add double underscore, let's say you will write it is equal to 100. So now if you will use this 10 plus 20, now it will not give you the expected result. Okay, so let's say here it will give you the result, but after this it may not give you the result. Clear? You may not get the expected result in this case. Clear?
And Abhishek, on the 6th and the 7th line where you've called out private and strongly private, would you be diving into those in later classes in
Yeah.
terms of example, like how do we?
Go ahead.
So yeah, that's my question basically. How I probably need some examples on how that is done.
Yeah, that I will be coming later. Why? Because see, this is again the topic of what to say, object-oriented programming. Going into that, you need some background. Making the background itself may take 1 or 2 classes. So I'm not going into that as of now. You can think of it like, let's say if you are declaring any variable in a module. For example, if I'll define any module here, okay, this is a module class 03. This is one Python file is a module. If you create any identifier with this name and preceded by underscore, you cannot able to access it in outside the module. And if you will create a class, and in that class, if you create an identifier with double underscore, you cannot access it outside of the class. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So Abhishek, so whatever classes that we create, that objects what we create, they are global identifiers, right? Because we are not using anything.
By default, all the objects, yes, by default they are global. Okay. Until unless you are defining it in a class, that becomes the local. Okay. Yes, Utkarsh, any question?
Yeah, Abhishek. Just I wanted to know, as you just told me also today in today's session, that in terms of like perspective of the data science, to learn data science, we did not have to require much of the object-oriented programming scope in a Python as of. So still so we use NumPy and Pandas. So these all are like libraries which we have to be used to work. So these all are like no, that much not dependent on the like oops concept, like exception handling, file handling, all the topics that which we usually deal especially. So is it not required in there?
No, it is not required. See, exception handling you can write anywhere. First of all, as you said, NumPy and Pandas and Matplotlib or whatever package you will learn, those all are the packages which are already defined. And why we are using Python? Because we don't want to write the code. And if you still write the code using Python, then what is the use of Python? If you want to write the code, go ahead and do it with Java or C++ or C#.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So that's what you mean to say, that we have to only like be concept concrete on the data science point of view only.
And yes, see, Python is rich in built-in functions and methods. Okay, really one function you are learning in core Python and the same function you have in NumPy and process related, something like this, like range function we have here, which creates a sequence of values or integer. But where you have in NumPy, you have a range function which can create the sequence of float value or integer value, anything. So when this kind of scenarios are coming, so you have to understand the functionality of the different method and function completely, because
so basically we have to learn the functionality and to implement those functionality into our code part.
Exactly.
Then we use NumPy and Pandas.
Yes.
In terms of Python using data science.
Yes. Okay. You may not need to write the lengthy code. Data science, this is not the task. See, generally data science stuff, if you will follow the history of that, so mathematicians were used to hire as a data scientist. Okay.
Yeah,
now,
in my college also there was the same scenario, like mathematics and computing part will be like
so if you want to make something good, then work on your mathematics. That will be a good thing. As far as programming is concerned, have a basic idea. That's what we are conducting the classes. And yes, if you are interested, get back to us. We have the special classes. We will be conducting them. And if you want to learn, you can learn them. For knowledge purpose, you can have them.
Yeah, exactly. Sir, just let me know that if a fresher candidate just wants to start, kickstart there in the data science career field,
Hmm.
so it's like only going through this basic ideas, and just main ideas should be focused on the theory of the machine learning part and all that part.
Yeah, you can say the
Really
main
basic,
part is stats and machine learning.
yeah,
Okay.
machine learning and the like tools which we are mainly we should be used to, like Tableau, Python, NumPy, Pandas, whatever it is.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just
See, you can write a program using loop, using function, using object-oriented programming. Given a program, it can be written in different paradigms. But
yeah,
the same program, we are having a built-in functions in Python, in NumPy, and packages. So, and also the code you will be writing probably that might be the optimized one or the best one. But again, it needs effort, right? So we don't do that. Okay, it needs
so
time.
as a fresher, if I apply in a company, see, suppose, so
Hmm.
the company will be probably looking for me, like testing me on the terms of my knowledge on the machine learning part and the like basic tools, how if I'm able to use the tools and all, like NumPy, Pandas, or whatever to Tableau and all.
Hmm.
Basically, they focus on that part only, not on the like writing part of the code and all. You mean to say.
Correct, correct, correct. But don't try to get away with the coding, because this core Python you are learning to do the coding. We have a
No,
lot of
obviously,
coding
I can
not to do
understand.
that.
Yeah, I can understand.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I'll be giving you a lot of code to write in Python till the time you are learning
Yeah,
Python. And once you leave
yeah,
it, forget about Python. Just make sure that you
yeah,
have learned NumPy and Pandas completely. Okay.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. So now let's move to the next part. So we are done with the identifier. Someone asked me what is variables. I'm just going to explain it. Variables and constant. Okay. So variables and constant are nothing but you can say variables and constants are subset of identifiers. Okay, they are subset of identifiers. It means variables and constant are the type of identifier, are a type of identifiers. Okay, so the rules we follow to define an identifier, the same rule we followed to define a variable and constant. Now, how they are different? See, an identifier can be a function name, also a class name or object name, a variable or constant name, anything. But specifically, when you use a variable and constant, that is also an identifier. But we have a slight change in defining a constant. Okay, what is that change? So see, variable name, it follows the same rule, whatever we have defined. They both follows the same rule. Okay, fine. But when we have one exception in the case of constant, okay? So constant should have only capital letters, or you can say capital letters and underscore. Okay, it can have only capital letters and underscore. For example, you might have seen that, let's say if I'm taking a number, okay, I know that this number need to be changed throughout the program. Okay, so this is going to be 10. But let's say we need a number which I know that is not going to change throughout the program. For example, age of someone. You want to do the age of someone by doing the calculation of a particular person, then that will remain fixed throughout throughout the program for that particular person's age, right? So let's say that is 27. So in that case, what it will happen? See, this will be considered as a constant value. Means this age is not going to change throughout the program, but this number may change throughout the program. And the value which is changing, that is called the variable, and the value which is not changing, that is called the constant. Okay, this is variable and this is called the constant. Fine. Now, So in other programming languages, you have a keyword to define a constant, and it makes sure that if you will try to change the value associated with the constant, it will give you the error. Okay. Since Python is a dynamically typed programming language, we don't have any keyword to define any identifier or to define any data type or to define any constant. Okay, we just have a kind of recommendation. Okay, and what this recommendation says that you should use only capital letter. Okay, and any variable name written in capital letter, that will be considered as a constant. Now let's see, you have this, if you'll make it as age. Okay, you have written this program for your organization, and after a few years you left the organization, someone else got recruited in your place. So what will happen in this case? If he will be looking at your code, probably he will not be able to identify which one is constant and which one is variable. He may go ahead and make the change here, for example 30. So he will make the change, and he will make the change age is equal to 30, and this may not give the expected result. Okay, so to make sure that the value doesn't change, what we should do, we should make here age. Now if he will be looking at this code, then he will understand, okay, so the previous programmer has made this particular identifier as constant, and the value related with this should not change throughout the program. Am I clear, everyone?
So Abhishek,
Yes.
Python as a language in itself doesn't understand the difference there. It treats both same.
Yeah, it will treat both same till compilation.
So if I print both, it's gonna treat the same. It's not gonna say, okay, this is
no,
because
no.
it's written in
It will
caps.
consider
I'm gonna
both of
treat
them
that.
as, yes, I got it. It will consider both of them as integer data type. Type of, let's say if I write num, and let's say if I write type of age, so both will be considered as the integer data type.
So it's a visual representation for us to understand. Okay, that's how it is treated as part of the code.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yes, Amit.
Abhishek, we are saying that just to understand that age variable is a constant, but we can change its value, right?
Yeah, you can change it. If you want, you can change it. Let's say if I'll make it here 27, print here, print num, comma, age. Now it is giving 10 and 27. You can change it 30, it will give you 30. You can always change it. As I said, it is just the recommendation. But yes, if someone will look at this code, the Python programmer, he will be able to understand that yes, this is a constant value.
Okay, so we don't have anything. Can we define any variable as a particular constant that we cannot change its value throughout the code?
Sorry?
Can we make a variable constant that we cannot change its value throughout the program? Like here, we are only identifying it as a constant, but
Yes,
we can
yes.
change
No, that provision is not there. That provision is not there.
Okay.
Someone else was asking the question. Utkarsh, do you have any question?
No, sir, it's fine.
Okay. And Mansi is asking, constant can be anything, right? It can be float. Yes, it can be anything, Mansi. You can keep any value in the constant. String, list, anything, whatever you want to fix the value, you can fix it. Okay.
Abhishek, in the age, we can give only the A as cap and GE small. Will it take as a constant?
It will take it as a see. It's not about. It is not considering it as a constant value. No, Python is not considering it as a constant value. It is taking it as an identifier only.
Okay.
But for the user understanding, you have to make it like this.
Okay, for its user. Okay, yeah.
Okay, Python will consider both of them as the variable, or you can say as the identifier. Constant or something like global variable, which can be used in whole class. Yes, you can say that. Naveen. There is no inbuilt constant like for pi value where its value also changes. See, pi value, that is the built-in function. Okay. So for example, you have import math, and if you will print the directory of math, you have pi here. Okay. And if any time you will print the value of pi, print math.pi, it will always give you this value. Now, how it is giving you this value? So while defining this math module, math.pi is already defined. Pi value is already defined. So you are picking the value from there. Okay, you are not defining it. Yes, if you want to change it, you can go ahead and write here. Let's say math.pi is equal to 3.14 or 15. Now, if you will run this, so print this math.pi again. So it's not like you cannot change it, but once you will print it, now it will be coming as 3.15. So even Python inbuilt also not able to restrict from changing the value of a constant internally also. Clear, everyone? Okay. Fine. So we have discussed variables, constants, and the last one we have is reserved words also we have discussed. So these all topics are done. Next, let's start with expressions, statements, blocks, and indentation. Okay, expression, statements, blocks, and indentation. Now, what is expression? So expression, basically you can say that anything which can be evaluated, okay, that is called an expression. Okay, and statement is what? A combination of identifiers, constant, function calls, object creation, class definition. These all are statements. Okay, looping, conditions, these all are different types of statements we have. Okay, so Python has expressions also, Python has literals also. Literals is just a constant value, single value is a literal, but when you combine two or more values with the help of operators, that becomes the expression. And a simplest expression is a literal. So I can say literal is a simplest expression. Clear, everyone? Literal is a simplest expression. Okay, for example, if I'm writing 10, this is an expression. 10 is an expression. Okay, now blocks and indentation. So let's come to this. We program A is equal to int input Okay. Fine. Now let's execute this code. So if you will execute this code, so we know Python is scripting language. Okay, so it will execute the code sequentially. Fine. It will start the execution of the code from the very first line, then second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, and until and unless you are controlling it, it is going to execute all the lines in the code. Okay, all the sequential lines in the code. But let's say once you are okay, so let me run this. I'm going to have 10, which is the A, and then we have 2, which is B. So 10 is greater than 2. And if I run this, the first if block will be executed, which is giving me A is greater than B, and then it is printing A minus B, which is equal to 8. But this line number 6 to 8 are not executed. How? So first of all, let's see what is the expression and what is the statement in this. This is the expression. Why it is expression? Because it is getting evaluated. So first it is taking the input from the user, and then input function is going to convert, it returns the string output. Okay. For example, let's say if I not use int typecasting here, if I simply use input, enter first number. Okay. And if I'll print a comma type of a. So if I'll print, let's say if I'll enter 10, I have entered numerical value, but if I will enter this, I will get this, that it is a string type. Okay. So input function takes the input from the user and it returns the string, it returns the value in the string format. Is that clear? Input function will always returns the value in the string format. Fine, everyone? Okay. So since it returns every value in the string format, so we need to convert it into the respective format. Why? Because let's say if you'll be taking here the second number, for example, if you're taking the second number here B and into second number, and if you want to do the operation here addition A plus B, if you run this code, you will get the result as 10, 20, not 30. Whereas your requirement was to add these numbers 10 plus 20, that should return the result 30. That is the integer value. But since it is a string, so it is doing the concatenation operation and it is returning you the concatenated result. So if you have these values, so if you want them to be converted into int, you will wrap it around the int function. So this int function can take the integer value in the quotation and then it will convert it back to the integer value. Okay, so now if you will check the type of A and B, so here you can check print type of A comma type of B. Okay, similarly you can print it here. So this is also going to give you, let's say 100, 200. Now it is printing int, both are of int type. Okay, so this int function converts this input which you have given, which is in the string format, converts it into the integer value. Okay, and then it is doing the this one. So first of all, as I said, this is an expression. Yes, Jude, am I coming? Just give me 2 minutes. This is an expression because this is a expression, right? So this is getting evaluated. So first this input function is getting evaluated, which takes the result from the user, and then it is converting back to the integer, and then it is allocating the memory for that. Okay, so this is the expression. Now you are assigning this value to a variable. This is assignment operation. Okay, and this assignment operation, this is one single statement which is having the combination of identifier and expression and operators. Okay, so 3 things are there. One equal to operator or assignment operator, then this expression, and then this variable. So these all things combining together, this is one statement. Okay, then you have next statement, second statement, then you have if statement. Fine. Now this if statement, whenever you write if statement, else statement, or so there are a few keywords which you need to remember. For example, if, elif, else, for, while, with, def, class,
And
sorry, what else?
not.
No, not them. So these all are the few keywords. There may be few more things that's not coming to my mind. I'll be coming to that, Elif. Wait, Saurabh. Okay, so we are not going to get into the other details. So let me first discuss this. So this if, elif, else, for, while, what, like these keywords, apart from that, you might be having some other keywords. We will be learning them later. But yes, these keywords, whenever you use them, they follow a definite pattern. What? So actually, they perform some operation. They are related with the operation, so that after that operation, some block of code has to be executed. We don't have do while because in Python. Okay, we don't have do while. Okay, so what object, where is object, Siddharth? No, obj is the name I used it. Okay, so when you use these keywords, these particular keywords, so after these keywords you are going to follow a fixed pattern. We don't have switch mansi. So the thing which is not fancy, all these keywords, you just go here and check what all things we have. Okay, these are all the keywords we have, nothing apart from this, not a single thing extra from here. Okay, so let's see. I think it's lambda also, and then we have while, with, yield, try. Yes, try and except also we have. Try, except, and finally. Try, except, finally. Okay. What else? Return, raise keyword also we have. Raise. Then what else we have here? Pass or not, non-local, lambda is in, import, if, global, from, for, finally, except, else, elif, del, def, continue, class, break, await, async, assert, as, and yes, that's it. So only these keywords. Okay, whenever you are going to use these keywords in your Python program, so what will happen? In all these cases, they follow a pattern. What pattern they follow? They will be associated with some functionality. For example, after if, you should write an expression that should be evaluated either as true or false. Okay, that should be evaluated either as true or false. If it is not getting evaluated as either true or false, that will give you the error. Okay, you cannot write only and here. Okay, you cannot write only and, this will give you the error. So you should write an expression that should be evaluated as true or false. Okay, you should write a greater than b now. Fine. And after that, you should put a colon. Fine, you should put a colon. And after writing this colon, why we are writing this colon? So wherever you will put the colon, wherever you will write these keywords, after that you need to make a block of code. Why you need to make a block of code? So what do you want? In the case of if statement, if this condition is true, these 3 lines of code should be executed, and these 3 lines are coming inside the if block. Okay, these 3 lines are coming inside if block. They are not in the normal flow of the program. What is in the normal flow of the program? So anything, any line before which there is no space, that is in the normal flow of the program. And any line which is which is having a space, it is coming under some other statement. For example, these 3 lines are coming under if statement. These 3 lines are coming inside else statement. Okay, fine everyone. Similarly, let's say if I will talk about for. Clear? If I will talk about for, so what is the syntax of for? So if you see the syntax of for, you write for variable in some sequence. Okay, and then you put a colon. When you put a colon, so Python will understand that now you are going to make a block. So if you want to make a block, once you'll push enter here, or once you'll press enter, what will happen? Python will automatically identify that this is a for loop and user wants to make a block. So it is giving the space automatically. Okay, you don't have to give this space explicitly, it will apply this space automatically. Okay, and this is called the indentation, and this is mainly used for defining a block for this for loop. Clear everyone?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so now what this block is, so block means now these all 3 lines of code are coming inside a block. So all these 3 lines code will be executed if this statement is true. If this is false, then it will not be executed. Same thing happens in the for loop. Let's say you have multiple statement here, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. So for loop is to loop over a sequence or to run a block of code multiple times. We use loop. Okay, for loop you can use or while loop you can use. When we will go to loop, we will discuss that in which case you should use for loop, in which case you should use while loop. But as of now, you can understand that loops are used. Loops are used to execute a code multiple times. Execute a block of code. Okay, a block of code multiple times. These all are the conditional statements. So these conditional statements are written to execute a block of code based on some condition. Okay, loop is used to execute a block of code multiple times. Okay, fine. Similarly, we have, so you can use for and while anything. Similarly, we have which statement. Which statement generally used in the file handling, we use it. Okay, to open a file, and so that you should not write the closing of the file, and it handles the, if any error happens in your code, so it will handle that error automatically. Def class are used, def and class are used. Def is used for defining a function and a method. So for example, let's say if you're defining a function, okay, so here if you are writing the code, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, 4, so you want all these codes to be executed whenever you will be calling this function. Clear? Fine. So how you are again using it? So you are defining the, you are using def keyword, and after that you are writing the name and then putting the colon. Once you put the colon, Python automatically will take this spaces or indentation. And once indentation is provided, it means the code you are going to write now, those all codes will be inside this block. So if this block is evaluated, then only this codes will be executed. If this is not evaluated, this will not be executed. Is that clear, everyone? Any question here? How you can make the block? Now they are not coming in the normal flow of the code. So if you will run this code, this may be executed, this line may be executed, okay, to create the function object, but this code will not be executed until and unless you will call this function. So if you want them to be executed, you have to call this function. Okay. Fine. Now if you call this all codes will be executed. Any question, guys? Yes, Saurav?
Sorry. So just a small questions about the functions, about whatever you're saying, the indentation and all. Suppose for a long piece of code, and suppose we have missed the indentation somehow. So can we use curly braces, although it is not recommended?
No. See, that's what I'm saying. No. So Python supports only indentation and spaces to create block.
Okay.
Okay. No curly braces.
Okay, fine. And are we learning all the keywords, whatever you have mentioned, like elif?
If you will not learn those keywords, you don't know Python. So slowly we will learn all of them.
Okay,
so
fine.
We'll go
Thanks.
Yes, Jude, do you have any question?
Yes. So in the block of code that you wrote about input values, and then that one there. Yep, that one there. So you said you're calling that out as an integer and you're passing that value. What if you pass a string value in there? So if you run that code again, would that throw an error, or would it automatically?
Okay, here when you are saying if I'm running this and I'm passing 10 as the string value,
or some alphabetical value, like,
yeah, so it will not be able to convert it. We will discuss it in upcoming classes. Okay, which all values are accepted here. So this int function, I think I discussed in data types. No, I have not. So that is in the probably tomorrow class or day after tomorrow's class.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. Yes, Utkarsh, do you have any question?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to know to get the indentation done in the our code. What kind of shortcut we use? We use a shift tab, something like that. Now,
Yes. So let's say if you want to remove the indentation here, so you can select this. Okay, all these lines of code, and to remove the indentation, you can use shift tab. And if you want to provide the indentation, you can use tab.
Okay, shift tab to undo the indentation part,
yes,
and tab part to do the indentation part.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine, everyone. Any question? Are you guys able to hear some sounds?
Yes.
I can hear the lamb.
Yeah.
Is that your pet?
No, no. Actually, I'm in my hometown, so I came from Bangalore to here, and it's kind of village completely, so it is in the backside.
That's not annoying. The other day's class was very annoying, very
Yeah.
screechy sound, but this is okay.
They don't make sounds every now and then, but sometimes I cannot do anything about that. Anyway, so sorry for that. I'll try to.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thanks.
So next, what we will do. So we are done with this expression statements, blocks, and indentation. I hope you have understood that how you can make the block of code. And to make the block of code, indentation is mandatory. You have no provision of using the curly braces in Python. Okay, and you may need to write the indented block, nested indented block. For example, let's say you have another variable here. This is C, and here you are taking, this is second, this is third. Okay, now so here you need to check if C is greater than B. Okay, so now see this condition, when you are checking this condition, so the block of code will be coming, it will be having another level of indentation, and that block of code will not be inside this if statement, right? So to write that, now what you need to do here, so again you will press enter, and the code which you will be writing, that should be again properly indented here. So you will be writing C is greater than B, and here you will be writing C minus B, and the type of just remove this, not required. Fine. So now if you'll see again, this block is again indented. This is the nested indentation, you can say. And this block of code are coming inside what? Inside this if statement. So if this is going to be true, then only this block of code will be executed. If this is evaluated as false, then it will come out of this if statement. Okay, so if you have multiple nested block, let's say inside for you have if, inside if you have def, inside def you have class. So if you have this kind of scenarios, then the code should be properly indented, and you should have a clear idea that which part of the code coming where. Let's say after writing this nested block, I want something to be written here again in the normal if block. Okay, so here I'll be writing print something hi, or I can write in the outer if. Okay, and then after executing this if else, let's say you have something which you want to be executed, if you want this to be executed as again in the normal block of the code, so you will write print A and print B. Okay, so so the code execution will start from first line, second line, third line. It will come to this if block. If this is true, this code will be executed, and then it will come to this if block. If this is true, then this will be executed, and after, so once this line number 10 is executed, it will come out of this inner if block, and then it will execute this line number 11, which is in the outer if block. Once this is done, so since this is true, this else block will not be executed. It will be coming out of the if and else block. It will be coming into the normal flow of the program. So it will print A and B. And once this is done, it means your program execution is completed, comes out of the program. So this is how the execution happens, and this is how Python identifies that which part of the code is in which block or in which statement. Clear? With the help of the indentation. So these 3 lines, or you can say these 4 lines in outer if, as well as this line also. Clear? Python will understand it. Fine. Yes, sure, why not? Okay, so you want this to visualize it? No problem. So first of all, it is asking me the number. So line number 1, I'm entering 10, submit the value. You can see on the right hand side, this is the frame. Currently we are into the global frame, everything into the global frame, right? So one variable A is created and it is storing one value 10. Now it is asking for the second value. I'm storing 20 here. Submit it. You have another variable B and it is storing 20. Correct? Now it is asking for third value. Enter 30. Submit it. You are getting the third value, which is 30 for C. Right? Now go ahead for the next one. Now it is check where it is A greater than B. So currently we are in the line number 4 and still we are into the global scope. So go ahead. It is false. So since it is false, it came to the else block. And inside else block, it is directly coming to line number 13. So in the 13, we have this print statement to be executed. It will print this. Then B minus A, which is the result as 20 minus 10, which is going to be 10. This 10 is printed. Then print type of A, this is also printed. And then we are coming into the normal flow of the program back 16 and 17. Okay. Now let's say if I will run this code again. So first I'm going to enter, let's say, I'm going to enter, let's say 100. This is the higher number and submit it. Next, we have second number. So I'll enter 90. And this one we have 95. Okay, now run this. So first part is true, A greater than B. Yes, 100 greater than 90. This is true. So it is coming inside this 5. Line number 5 is executed. A is greater than B. Line number 6 is executed. 7 is executed. 8, it will check. Correct? C greater than B, it is true. So it is going to execute this line 9, 10, 9, 10 also. And then it is executing in outer if. Okay, fine. Once it is done, again, it will come to the normal flow of the program. It is executing 16 and 17, and then it is done. So let's say if you will enter here 80, then what will happen? It will not execute this part. Okay. Fine, everyone.
Abhishek, so what is the purpose of else there? I could have written the B statement in the flow, all nested.
Okay. So else part is if this is false, then come to this part. So let's say you make the decision that if this happens, then I will do this. Otherwise, I'll do this. For example, I need to go outside. So if it is going to rain, then I will take the umbrella. If it is not going to rain, then I will not take the umbrella. So if it is going to rain, then I will take the umbrella. And if it is not going to rain, then I won't take the umbrella.
So it's basically I could have written a nested part also, but in order to skip.
No, you cannot write it in the nested part. Writing in the nested part will be the different interpretation, right? See, we are coming to this else block. Okay, this first of all, this else block is written for every if, and this if and else should be at the same level. Okay, you cannot write else block alone. Clear? For example, if I will try to write this else block here, if I'll try to write this else block here, so where is the corresponding if block we have? Tell me. For this else, where is the corresponding if? This if should be at the same level, right? Means inside this if, correct? Understood? Else block cannot go alone. Else requires one if. And if you are writing else block, then the level at which you are writing the else block at the same level if should also be there.
No, I get that part. If and else is like either or, they have to be at the same level.
Exactly.
I understand that, but what I was trying to say is, under if you had the A statement to be true or false, and then you had a nested one, which is C, I could have written another nested B also.
Okay, you are saying if C greater than, okay, sorry, C.
I could write multiple nested ones.
No, 1 minute, let me do that. If C greater than B, you will be writing this too, right? You are saying that this, you will write C is greater than B, right? Now you are saying that these 2 lines of code you will be writing inside this. You will write one more here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you will write, if B greater than A, okay, now execute this code. B is greater than A, print B minus A. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm removing this else block, then it is not required, isn't it? Correct? Yeah. Okay. Now let's execute this code. So what I will do, I will just execute. I want this B greater than A to be executed, means this part, right? So I need to enter B as the getter value. I will enter 90 as A and I'll enter 100 as B. Okay, now execute this. So let's see that we are coming to C. So enter C as, let's say 80, no problem. So now we are coming to this part. If A greater than B, tell me A is greater than B, 90 greater than 100? False. So it will not execute a single line of code inside this, isn't it? It will be directly coming to line number 19 and 20, isn't it? Fine.
Yes, I got it. So if there is there must be else. It's like either or. You have to use it.
If you are
Right,
writing
okay.
this inside this, so this code will be executed only when this is true. If this is becoming false, so you should have something alternate here, right? So for that we
Yes.
write
Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, guys? To avoid writing the expression repetitively, we use else. No, that is we use loop for that. Okay. For code reusability, we use loop, or we use classes, objects, or we use functions. Okay. Fine, everyone. So now we are done with this blocks, indentation, and everything. So the last one is escape sequence. Okay, so comments and escape sequence. So what is a comment? So comment is basically used for two purposes. One, to write the proper documentation. Okay, if you will not write the documentation, probably, let's say, if you will see here, I have written help on int or help on str. I've got this documentation. So those who have developed Python, they have written this documentation. Imagine that if they would have not written the documentation, probably we would have not be able to explore the Python this much. Okay, so documentation always helps you in exploring your code by the others. Okay, so writing the documentation is mandatory. Like, see, like previously we used to have a different person, or we used to have a different resource for writing the documentation, but nowadays the developer itself are doing the documentation. Okay, like it has become a kind of practice now. So all the developers itself, they write the documentation. Okay, but writing, if you're not going to write the documentation, then what will happen? If you yourself will be looking at the code after 2 years or 3 years or 10 years, well, you yourself cannot explain that what you have done at that time. Okay, so writing the documentation helps us in exploring the code which we have written. This is one part. And second part, if you want a few blocks of code not to be executed, you can comment it. Okay, so comments are also used to not execute the unnecessary code. Okay, if you have some unnecessary code in your program which you don't want to get executed, you comment it. For example, in these 3 lines, I don't want this to be executed. I can simply go ahead and comment it. So the shortcut to comment in Jupyter Notebook is control / or command /. Control / in Windows and command / in Mac. Okay, you can use that and you can comment it. Okay, so, or you can put a single hash before. Let's say if you have only a single line to comment. For example, I want to comment this line. I can put a hash here. Okay, or I can put a hash here. So both of these lines are commented. Okay, now they will not be executed. Let's say in this part itself, I want to comment these 2 lines. I don't want these 2 lines to be executed. I can comment them. So they will not be executed. Okay, so generally that is used for debugging the code. When you debug the code or others, developer look at your code, they use this comment features and all. Next, we have escape sequences. So what all escape sequences we have? Let's discuss about it. Escape sequence. So yes, Ramesh.
See, in JavaScript, there is the option if you have to comment 20 or 30 lines of code, you just have /* and then at the end star //
Yes.
So that will comment the entire lines of code.
Multi-line comments.
Yeah. So how that be possible in Python?
We have triple quotation. Okay. So let's say if you want to comment this whole code, you can select this and you can keep it in the triple quotation. Python will understand that it is actually it is not a comment, it is a string object. Okay, so when you will run this particular module or this particular cell, Python will execute it as a string, and being a string object and not being referenced, after some time it will be automatically garbage collected.
Okay, and then so what is the shortcut key to select the those lines of code and then enter 3 lines
Just
triple
select it
quotation?
using mouse. Okay, select the multiple lines using mouse. That's it. I'm not doing anything extra.
Okay, and then you just enter triple quotation. That's it.
Sorry. Yeah, I just selected it and I kept triple quotation. So once you type this comment quotation button 3 times, automatically it will take in the beginning and the end.
Okay.
For the selected lines. Okay. Can't we use if 0 for comments? I don't understand, because what you are asking. Please elaborate your question. Till then, let me finish the escape sequence. So the escape sequences we have is /, then double /, then /n, /t, /v, and then we have /this, /this. Okay. Okay, so these all are the different escape sequences we have, which we will be using them in our program. And when we'll be writing probably these things will be clear. Basically, escape sequences are used to escape something in your program. For example, I showed you that when you write a / before something, for example, if you have a quotation and you want this to escape, means you want this to be considered as a character, you put a / here. Similarly, this for this double quotation also, and this / and /t, /v are the space character. They are used to create the spaces in your string. For example, let's say we have a string s is equal to Python class. Okay, so this is going to give me the normal string, but let's say if I want the tab space between that, so I will be writing /t. If I run this, so let's execute this print. It will give you a tab space between these two characters. Okay, fine, everyone. Similarly, let's say if you are writing okay, so you don't want this to be executed as a space character, you want this to be printed as a character, means you want here / to be written in the output. So what you can do, you can escape it using a / one more time. So once you will write this / again, so Python will understand that I have to skip this / which is coming in front of me. Okay, so it will print it as it is on the screen. Okay, now it will not execute it as a space character. In C, we have if 0 and end. If to comment multi-line code, do we have some? No, we don't have any such things in Python. No. Okay, fine, everyone. So these all are the different escape sequences. If you want to give a new line, you can use /, and if you want to give a tab space, they are used for string formatting. We'll be learning about it in the upcoming classes, and we will be see these all things are about the use. Okay, we don't have much elaboration or the content for these, but yes, we have the use for this in different scenarios. So we'll be using it in different cases, and we'll be seeing that how we can use that. Okay, so we are done with the components of a Python program. Let me know if you have any question. Otherwise, I will end it, and then we will meet tomorrow.
Yep. Thanks, Abhishek.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay then.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank
Bye.
you everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Please, could you tell me why \v? \v is for vertical feed. So like here you can see this is giving you the horizontal tab. This gives you the vertical tab. Vertical tab is just few spaces. Okay, like around \t is around 6 or 8 spaces in different system. It depends. \v around 4 or 3 space. I hope. I don't know exactly the number, but you can check. \v is vertical. \v is vertical feed or vertical. Like horizontal tab, vertical tab. Okay. If we use /n nothing, it won't do anything because let's say if you will write here \n, it will give you into the next line. But if you write /n, then it is not going to give. It will be considered as a character. Okay, Akash. Clear? Okay, everyone. So bye. We'll meet tomorrow. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a nice day ahead. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.